Spectrum TD. I'm going to do a little tutorial here for Spectrum TD for how to get started, and hopefully it can help people out who have trouble. I'm going to do the weekly PvE, which I've already done, so I know a little bit about what I'm going to be getting. The weekly PvE is the same every single time for the whole week, and basically at the start of the map you want to start planning out how you're going to connect all of the waypoints in the end. So this we usually call waypoint 0, this we usually call waypoint 5. I'm going to be going with a 1, 3, 5. And actually I say that I've done the PvE, but there's a few rocks that are different. So that must have been with the new update. So 1, 3, 5 means that waypoints 1, 3, and 5 are going to be on one side of the map, and they're going to be separated from 0 to 4. And that will make it so that wherever we put our kill zone, our kill box, we will get them to pass through 5 times. After wave 3, we're going to get relics up in the top left corner, and they're very important. So, knowing what I know about the rest of the seed, I'm going to pick the green range booster, because I'm going to be going with mostly green and red towers. So for how the rest of the game works in general is, let's see, put this down here. How the rest of the game works in general is you've got all the different tower color types, and okay, got another one. I'm going to get the pile of rocks to get some extra building blocks. So you got all the different colors, and blue does greater damage to blue. Green does greater damage to green. Purple does greater damage to purple, so on and so forth. That is how it works. And, oh, yep, that's right here. That's right, we want passive mana regen here. Ordinarily, you'd probably want to take Runeblade because you get 10% damage for towers with extra runes on them, but the passive mana regen here will be very useful because we're going to go with green tier 5s. As you can see, I'm doing a bang-up job of killing things. So basically we're going to have all of the maze right in this center section. That's why we set things up the way that we did. So they have to go all the way back out here to get to waypoint 2, all the way back in to get to waypoint 3, all the way back out to get to 4, all the way back in to get to 5. You can build a tower on a rune, you gain the power of that rune. This is a consumable relic. I'm going to go with a red dice because I might want to draw a red at some point. So one of the important things when you're building a maze is to leave space for towers, because you're going to have a whole lot of towers, and you're going to need to have some space for them. A lot of the more powerful towers can be a much larger size. Alright, and this is pretty good, but we're going to go with extra gold. So, as you can see with the colors, blue will deal extra damage to purple and green because blue is part of purple and part of green. It'll deal extra damage to white because it's a solid color. And reduced damage to black. Greatly reduced to red and yellow, and extremely reduced to orange. And the reason why I'm doing red and green is because they both cover each other's weaknesses. I want a extra rune charge. It's very, very useful. So, the relic that I'm going to be getting later for my tier 6 tower is going to be... Oh yeah, I should cover the rerolls. So the first few rerolls will give you new towers. I'm also doing a little bit worse this game because I'm trying to commentate at the same time. The first few rerolls cost only 5, and then it's plus 20 each time to a maximum of 100. And that's one of the reasons why the dice are very important. For one, it gives you an extended or a free shot at getting towers, and for two, it's very useful for getting the specific red towers that you want. And I've got a black creep coming. In the top right, you can see the waves that are coming. I've got swarming green creep currently. Swarming means there's more of them and they spawn faster. The weakening of black means that all my towers are going to do less damage. I do want a jar of souls. Should have grabbed that a little earlier. It will increase my damage. So I'm going to be having a tier 5 tower somewhere in here, or tier 6 tower somewhere in here. My tier 5s are going to be scattered all around. Okay. Yep, get rid of these two. So I'm going to have, because my red is going to be, there, I want that there. Oh. I think I want a purple, no, I want a gemstone. So I'm going to have a 5-block tower right here that they'll have to go by several times to get in and several times to get out. And a lot of this is like temporary placeholder, as I'm going to replace it all with different things. So the basic gist of the early game is finding out where you want your kill zone to be and how you separate the map in half. And it's not exactly in half, as you can see. So there's a lot of stuff over here, and there's a lot of stuff over here. But it's in half enough. And that's what's important, is that they have to go through this area 5 times. Being that this is PvE, I don't have to worry about slowpoke, I don't have to worry about boosting. There's the boosting thing down here. Boosting is for if you want to kill someone off, you can boost and their next wave will be significantly more powerful. It does cost money though, so don't just use it to use it, because you will end up wasting money that you can't afford to waste. Like you notice, I misplaced and then had to resell an ice troll. You know, that's 13 gold back, so I lost 5 gold. So you want to avoid doing that kind of thing too often. It's, you know, not the best. It's obviously it's not a, you know, game ender, but so I did pick the Void Queen. I'm going to try and go over all the towers. It's at another point. The Void Queen is very important because it has a attack speed increasing ability with the Voidfall, and then also has the ability to... Oh, and there's my extra green range. Has the ability to suck up corpses nearby, which is very important. And last time I got 2 phoenixes, and I'm wondering if maybe I can get away with just 1. But I'll still probably go with 2 anyways. Phoenixes are pretty nice. They have... so each tower will tell you exactly what it does. So Eternal Blaze creates permanent fire in each waypoint, which is pretty nice. Early waves doesn't do that much late game. The Rebirth, at the start of the wave, it gains extra range and maximum attack speed for 20 seconds. And Phoenix Fire damages passively nearby creeps, and each time it does so, it gives extra attack speed. So, very, very good tower. Very useful. And as you can see, other people have had different takes on how to build their maze. So the problem with this... maybe a problem with this kill zone. Yeah. So they come in here and then they go... What is it? Yeah, they go directly down into 2. And the problem with that is they're going to go to 2, and then they're going to go back out to 3, and then they're going to go to 4, and then they're going to go out. And they're not going to have to go into all of this mess a second time. Not trying to criticize your build, Fausty. Over here we got green dice, Tome of Frost, minor attuned Rune of Blasting. So this is actually pretty decent, and I might want that. So this one, unfortunately, they're mostly only going to waypoint 3, which means once they get out of waypoint 3, they're basically home free. This maze, it's basically the same thing except for waypoint 1, and 2 and 4 are a little bit tangled up. But basically, if you can separate 4, 2 on the same side as 0, and then have 1, 3, 5 on the other side, then you'll have an area that they have to go through 5 times, which is going to be very useful. And I'm actually going to take the attuned Rune of Blasting and pop down my Phoenix. Now, as you can see, past wave 5, you can't build in the middle of a wave. It puts down kind of a ghost version of it with these chains on it, and that means the mobs can walk through it. You also get your gold at the beginning of the wave, so you can start setting up your new towers, but you won't be able to, block creeps in the middle of things. So tier 1 towers are very good for mazing, and rocks are good for mazing. You get 1 rock charge every round. Rocks can also be used for certain other towers to boost them up. And we'll see after this. So you can see that's the Void Fall. And that's me getting life because I picked... Alright, so... Draught of Midas is pretty good. 20% extra gold income, and towers always salvage for 100% gold. Means it's very easy to replace towers if you need to. This is at wave 13 you get a legendary relic. Definitely make sure you pick one of these. For my purposes, I'm going to go with Draught of Midas. But I'm also gaining passive life every mob kill with the Jar of Souls. So you want to pick your passives right away, because sometimes there'll be a Jar of Souls or something that benefits the more kills that you get. I don't really have anyone on a rune yet, so I can't really show off how that works. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so these... I don't want. I want one here. Because I'm going to have a 5... I'm going to have somebody this big. And you know, I have the Midas, so I can just place this guy down as a temporary. Alright. Matching Rune of Damage. So, all the runes have specific effects, and when you choose a relic that gives you a rune, it lets you place it anywhere that you want, or on any tower that you want. I'm going to go with a Band of the Seraphim. Late game, it's very, very useful. It prevents the next instance of lethal damage. When the mobs reach here, they take life, and so if you were going to die from that, then you instead wouldn't. It's very, very useful. Very powerful. I'm going to skip my second Phoenix this time, so I'm going to be a little bit more weak to orange, but now I can start on my toxic avatars. I'm going to... So this is actually a Eternal Rune of Mana. So because I have all of those extra greens, green ranges, I'm going to put my toxic avatar here, because his range is only here now, but it's going to get out to here. I'm going to be able to attack more with him. So what the minor Eternal Rune of Mana does is, it is a minor rune, so it is 1.0 times effectiveness. It's an Eternal Rune, which means that it stays with 1.0 effectiveness, but it gains 0.05 rune effectiveness at the start of every wave. And the effect is, oh, sorry, GG Gangflow, 0.5 mana regeneration per second. Alright, I want a red speed booster. Ordinarily, I take the Wall of Vines because it's +5 current maximum life every time you manage to not die, take damage on your maximum health. But I'm going to go with the red speed booster because I'm anticipating getting, unless the small update changed the tower that I would get, I'm going to be getting a tower that I very much want instead. So I'm also, I think, because I don't have any red yet, I'm going to be getting red, but I don't have any yet, so I'm going to do that. This also means that when the relic comes up, it increases speed by 15% when you're next to a waypoint. I will be able to take that, and these two towers will get extra speed. So as you can see, his mana regen is 1.65 instead of just 1. And that's important because he can cast Contagion, which inflicts damage per second and gives vulnerability and slow. And what the vulnerability does is it increases all damage taken. Very useful. Oh, and GG. And if I'm able to upload this, hopefully you guys can watch it and maybe get a little bit better of a maze. No offense, you guys are doing great. I've played this game a lot. I'm going to destroy those because I want to maze past here, because this is going to be my big tier 6 tower. So the minor primed runes, they only take effect. They have a bigger effect, but they only take effect for 30 seconds plus 1 second per wave. So I am going to take that. And the attuned rune of blasting is good, but you want it because it's based on how many rocks are adjacent to you. So you want it with bigger towers. So I'm going to place a tower right here. And then I'm going to... I'll wait till the start of the next round to do it. And I'm going to leave this empty space here because I have towers that I'm going to want to place there. It's very important to leave space when you're building the crux of your maze, because at the end, when you're trying to find space for all your towers, if you've built everything really compact, you're going to be building all of your good towers on the outsides of your maze, and they won't get much uptime for attacking. And that's really not what you want. You want things to be hitting as early as possible. Not necessarily as early. You want it as often as possible. And that's why this one is right in the middle, because you want them corpses. So I might actually add a linked... No, I don't think I want a linked Rune of Reach. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that I necessarily want to add on her. Alright, my next rune, another Jar of Souls. Because I like to get some extra life points. And... so I'm going to put this here, and it might seem like it's far away, and in fact, it is far away, but I'm going to be looping things around to join it. And really, was it that far away? It's right there, so they have to go around it to get to waypoint 3, and ideally they're going to end up having to get around it to get to waypoint 5. So it is a yellow wave, so all of the green towers are going to be doing extra. The red towers are doing half damage, so that's not the best, but... oh, that's right. I wanted to add to you, Mr. Tower, Primed Rune of Blasting. So now, this attack, yeah, it gets a whole bunch of extra damage, 90 extra damage, and it lasts for 47 seconds. So that's pretty good because this tower attacks, each attack hits 3 times, and it deals its damage over time times 4. Yeah, oh no, they changed it. It just does 5, oh no, it does 5 times attack damage over 10 seconds. So the toxic avatars will do a lot of damage over time. So the listed damage is actually times 5. Very good, very useful. And it'll be doing all of that, and it'll also be applying the contagion, which will be extremely important because we're going to have a nice high tier 6 tower right here that's going to just apply extra vulnerability. It's going to be very, very good. And here he is, the Doom Lord. So I'm going to sell that guy, I think, a little bit later so that he can do some damage for now. So you get 1 tier 6 tower. Every color has 1 tier 6 tower, and you get offered 1 of 3. For weekly, you're going to get the same 3 options every time, which is very good because that's exactly the one that I wanted, because the red and green duo means that you're never going to be doing max damage to purple, orange, blue, or yellow, but you'll always have something that's doing 1.25 damage to it. And then with everything being hit with vulnerability from the toxic avatars and the vulnerability from the Doom Lord, everything will just be taking that much extra damage as well, so it's as if you have all that extra damage anyways. I don't really need slows all that much, but I might get one later. So, runes come in different types. So you got like these, the colored runes. Yes, they're colored runes. They have to use different washrooms from the other runes. No, they change the tower's color type to whatever rune type it is. And you can double it up. It doesn't do anything to double it up. So, you know, if you put a green tower on a green rune, it's only going to give 20% damage and 30% range because it's already green. But you can put a green tower on an orange rune, it's going to give 25% attack speed, 30% range. Every colored rune does a different type of damage. Or every gives a different bonus, rather. You know, talking for a video is actually more difficult than you'd think. So when you see a YouTuber who's fumbling around a bit, you know, tell him he sucks. Because no, I'm kidding. Don't tell him he sucks. So here is my Doom Lord. Now this is why I took the red speed booster, because he has. So you might wonder. So you have speed boosters, range boosters, and damage boosters, and you might wonder which one is best. And that really depends on what towers you have. So for red, you have this Doombringer, which is on attack a 30% chance to deal extra attack damage. And you also have Devastate every 6 attacks. Now when you have something like this that's based on the number of attacks, you really want extra attack speed. And you want extra range, because now he should be able to... Come on. Yeah, now he can get an attack in every now and then on them, as opposed to just when they walk by him. But attack speed is really, really useful when... If you have the option of speed or range... well, for one, range... If it would help them hit more targets, get range. If it wouldn't help them hit more targets, don't get range. Attack speed is very useful for red in particular because there's one of their tier 5 towers benefits from a chance on attack as well. So that's something to keep in mind. And I'm going to place a couple more of these guys. Place him here. And yeah, I want to place a three block tower there just so it fits nicely, because I wouldn't say that I have OCD, but I have CDO, or no, whatever, I'm making stuff up. So I want a lot of these guys just because I want everything to be hit with contagion, and they're going to have a lot of range, so they're really going to do a lot. And they're honestly not that expensive as far as tier 5 towers go. So I'm going to re-roll my towers, because I know that I get the Stormbinder next, who's also green. And that gives me some area damage as well. I also think that I want to sell this guy, because I would like to have... So the Questing Druid has a quest, surprise, and he will buff a rock, so this guy's going to get 10% damage when an enemy goes by the rock. The rock becomes kind of like a landmine. And I'll go over all the towers at some point shortly and kind of see what they do. Most of the towers are pretty good in any situation. There are some towers that are a little bit more circumstantial. Like, you want a variety of colors. You don't usually want to just do opposite colors like I'm doing. This is when you know what you're trying to do. Alright, and... I guess I could have this. Yeah, why not? Because I have 2 rune charges, so I do want to give this guy an orange, because I do want to have a little bit of alternate colors. So this lady is pretty decent in that she will make a tornado which will slow everybody, and she will also attack all targets. See, I told you I was going to link this guy in, and I did. A large part of this game is planning things out. You could probably say it's the entirety of the game is planning things out. It's just such a useful thing to do. And in fact, I'm even going to start... Yeah, that's a 4, because I'm going to get, at some point, a 4x4 tower, and I'm going to place this linked Rune of Reach right there. And because there's all these towers, that will mean that 4x4 tower will be able to hit everything. It's going to increase, and I should get something... I should get the rocks ready for that, too. So that I can get this minor... attuned Rune of Blasting. So you can see I'm even killing stuff when they're nowhere near my towers, because I have all that extra attack bonus. Let's see how Faust is doing. So, this is a way to play. These are all Noxious turrets. They slow. These are all Searing Crystals, and they have a chance to slow as well. I'm going to go with the red damage booster because it's going to beef up my big guy. Percentage damage helps him because as the waves go on, thanks to his Hellfire brand, he will, and Soul Eater, he will gain 4 to 10 damage every time a creep dies. And that's pretty useful. And I do want one of these girls over here. I think might as well put her here. Because green tower, she's going to have extra range, so she'll be able to hit up here. It doesn't show the extra range from the relics while they're unbuilt, but she's going to have it. So, alright, there's that. And did I think? Okay, so it is different. This time I didn't get the tower that I wanted, but because I have the ability to re-roll, or rather, because I have the ability to sell things for 100%, I can just get this tower for now. I'm fairly certain that I get the same tower that I want a little bit later. And I have to figure out a good spot for my attuned tower. But maybe I should make sure that I get the right tower that I want anyways. So Scarlet Champion is a melee tower, so he's very nice, he's very powerful, but he's melee as well, so he does a lot of area of effect damage. So because there's only 4 towers, all of the HP is split up between 4 units. And when you have something like this where you benefit from killing more units, you kind of want there to be like 13 of splitting, so then you get 13, and then they all create 3 clones, so you have 13 times 3, so you have 39 extras, so you get a lot of extra damage from that. This I'm only getting 40 extra damage from. There we go. I'm gonna go, see, you can go with these others, like the Panic Button and the Tome of Frost. I'm just gonna go with the extra gold. I'm gonna get this guy here, because it doesn't hurt to have him. And I am gonna re-roll to try to get the tower that I want. Okay, I'm also going to get some incinerators, because they also do add extra stacks of vulnerability. And vulnerability is a really, really nice thing to have. I am pretty sure that I'm supposed to get a Ember Forge at some point, but well, we'll see. Maybe this timeline is different. I'll just put it there for now. Roll, that's right. I remember getting a Fell Hunter. Roll again. I remember getting another Toxic Avatar. See, this one's almost all green. It's got 3 greens in it, which is almost all. And this is actually a wave that I'm very powerful against. You can see how quickly his hit points are just counting down from all of the damage over time. And over here, so we have the options menu where you got tips and Spectropedia and progression. So this is all of my personal progression. I have played for a number of days, I think. Yeah, that's definitely a number of days. So Spectropedia, we're going to start with blue and we'll just go through it. So there's one tier 1 tower for every color. There is no black tower. And you can do extra damage against black with orange, green, and purple. or severely reduced damage to black with white, and slightly reduced with the 3 primary colors, but there is no black tower. So the Ice Troll is a fairly all-around for damage and speed and everything. It goes up to the... blue towers are generally going to have mana. That's kind of their thing. The Demoness casts Arcane Bolt, costs mana, which makes it deal additional damage in a small area of effect and briefly slow the targets. Pretty good if you get it, useful for early games. The Frost Turret costs mana on attack, deal damage, and slow a creep. Slow is more powerful against matching creeps, so this one is very good if you have like a King Blue Wave late game. You'll have a decent slow against him. And just got to make sure I pick this. Okay, so there's that 15% additional range there. The Oceanic is very useful. If you can also buff him with runes that give him extra damage, he will buff an adjacent tower with damage equal to his attack for a duration which is about equal to the amount of mana that it takes to cast again. So you usually want to have only the Oceanic only next to one tower, and that's the tower that you want him to cast it on. The Frost Channeler, after a short delay, a small little circle appears on the ground and freezes enemies. You have a chance to get a free Circle of Frost, and if you had enough mana, then you get a big, giant Circle of Frost instead. Spark Warden, every so often, when he can, he will cast a Spark that copies his attacks, so he's relatively useful to put blasting damage on, and he will deal extra damage. With those extra attacks, if you give him a lot of mana, then he will cast more sparks, and when the sparks expire, they give mana to nearby towers. Mr. Sky has a chance, 5% chance each second, to increase the attack speed and mana regen of nearby towers with mana for a short time. So this would be a very nice thing to have a couple around. I think I had the option of Mr. Sky, but I didn't take it. Frozen Spire. So this will just shoot an Ice Lance, which costs a little bit of mana, and slows a random creep in attack range. A Hailstorm, which will rapidly fire projectiles at random creeps in attack range, which will deal damage and slow. This is a very, very useful slow. If you have this on a linked Rune of Range, you can have a massive, covers everything. It's wonderful. Mana Link means that if you surround your Frozen Spire with other towers, then either it will give them mana if they are mana tower, or it will get mana from them if they are not a mana tower. Very useful. This is why Linked is so good with this one, because you just get such a crazy range on it. The Storm Herald is wonderful. Turns all rocks electrified and gives a really powerful slow when the enemy goes near the electrified rocks. Electrolyze, so every time he has mana and he attacks, he will put 5 extra electro bolts out. The electric bolts get used up whenever an enemy goes near him. Oh, sorry, Betten. And it also he has a chance to slow units, mana regen to nearby extra damage to nearby mana towers when he uses the other attack. Electronexus does a lot of stuff. You gain a lot of mana, and you have a chance for other things to happen when you kill an enemy. So this is a tower that it has mana, and you want to give it more mana. When it deals damage, it gains more mana, and then the more mana it has, the more damage it does, and so on. The goal with this one is you give a nearby Storm Herald or two, you give it a nearby Mr. Sky, maybe a nearby Spark Warden, put it next to a couple Frozen Spires, and it's just going to have an insane amount of mana regeneration. Pick the relics that give extra mana regeneration or extra mana, and it'll just be crazy. It'll go crazy. Red Towers. The Soldier is melee range. So be careful if you're mazing a lot with him. The sentry turret it fires 3 shots whenever it fires a shot, and the last shot has a chance to deal area damage and inflict vulnerability. Guaranteed and matching creeps. Very, very useful. The Blood Knight grants extra damage and attack speed per stack. Whenever a creep dies, it gains a stack. When it kills something, it gains max stacks. The vulnerability for a short duration, so very useful to have some of these scattered around because they do vulnerability. This guy has a critical chance with vulnerability, and at the start of the wave he gets faster for a little bit. He is a 5x5, so he's a big chonky boy. The Chaos Spire is very interesting. It deals increased attack speed based on how many creeps are within attack range, and you can have a large number of creeps within attack range if you have it on like a range rune, so it can just have an obscene number of attacks. Fire Prodigy turns all nearby rocks to fire, and each fire rock launches an attack. Very useful. Searing Crystal has a chance to stun. Oh no, not stun, slow, but now it's actually vulnerability. It just shoots a whole bunch of little things, and I'm gonna take red dice because I really want to make sure I get that tower. Medium range on this one, extremely fast attack. Target's not tracked with its attack, so it'll just shoot out a whole bunch and they'll hit whatever they hit. So you can see right there, it just shoots out randomly. This is red wave, so honestly, maybe I should do something. Well, there's not really a whole lot I can do. Okay, one more. Okay, this is actually useful to have. Yeah, I'll put one of those there. Well, I want one of these around here, because, yeah, that'll get those guys. Yeah, I think I want them, like, here, so... So I'm deviating a little bit from my previous build. There it is. That's my Ember Forge. So I'm gonna put my Ember Forge right here. Let me get a couple more of those. And let me go back through Spectropedia. Ember Forge shoots 4 times at once, so it's very useful with a Rune of Blasting. So I was saving that for it. Deals much more damage to creeps at low life. Has a chance on attack. This is why you want attack speed when it comes up for red, because chance for more damage and attack speed. So very useful. This is Scarlet Champion. He is melee. He's relatively small. He was once bugged to deal double damage, and everyone picked him all the time if they could. So you get Avenging Wrath, not Rash. Well, maybe he has a Rash, and that's why he has Wrath. But he deals more damage to creeps on low life. Gains attack speed and matching waves. Damage and slow creeps in a small area. Chance to deal more damage, more so to matching targets. And then there's the Doom Lord, who has all the other effects. Yellow Towers. And I'm going to start going faster, because there's a lot of them. Rifleman. He's a very long range, extremely long cooldown. Mortar Turret has a minimum range of 700, so you don't want to have these right in the middle necessarily. These might be best along the edge. Can have vulnerability to nearby creeps. Glaive Launcher, range 1000, pretty good range, not too bad for a cooldown. Attacks bounce to extra targets with reduced damage, inflicts vulnerability, very useful to have vulnerability. The Artillery has multiple attacks, it also has minimum range, and it inflicts vulnerability if it gets a perfect hit, and deals extra damage. The Void Ray, the Void Prism, will track its target, so its range is 450, but I think its range becomes like 1500 or so once it has started attacking, because it tracks the target and you can't control who it attacks. It just does it, and vulnerability gets put on per second. Fan of Knives shoots out. Wait, is that what her name was? I thought her name was Warden. So she casts Fan of Knives every attack. Shoots 10 projectiles in a thin cone. Hitting the first creep cannot hit the same creep more than once. Hitting the creep's back deals bonus damage and slows. I'm going to put my Ember Forge in. The last creep, so she's very good on a King Wave because she always gets backstab damage even when facing the front of the last creep. Lancer, you want to play, is pretty far away. Attacks travel in a straight line. It has 3,000 range. Pretty decent damage. If it hits a faraway tower, nearby non-mana towers will gain increased attack speed. Very useful. Tesseract, very useful. You want to get this guy right in the middle. His attacks will bounce up to 6 times. If there's not enough enemies, the attacks will bounce to your towers and non-mana towers and gain extra damage. So this is extremely useful with towers like the Ember Forge, which have extra attacks. Oh, and give me that attack speed. So you roll 3 times on damage to deal more damage, so you can get some nice crits with this guy. The Aetherflux Spire, you might say this guy has a 6-second attack cooldown. He's 5/5, and his damage isn't that high. Why would you pick him? Well, every time he attacks, all adjacent towers get 80 damage for a short time. So if you have this guy, and because, this one bounces to 2 extra targets, if you have, let's say, a glaive launcher right next to him, that glaive launcher will get 80 extra damage, which will bounce to 2 extra targets. So the amount of damage you can do can just skyrocket. Auric Annihilator. This guy's really good for late game because it just does a flat 10% damage. Basically, you don't want it right in the middle of things because you want it to pierce everything. I haven't figured out how to use this guy well yet. Ask on the Discord. Purple, Acolyte, very generic, he's amazing tower. Amazing, not amazing. Arcane Turret. Cost mana on attack. Significantly increases own damage and attack speed for a moderate duration. While active, attacks inflict vulnerability. If matching, additionally inflict slow. Very useful to have vulnerability. This guy's 3/3, so he's also very useful for plugging up small holes and things. Necrolite, on attack, costs mana. He will buff a nearby random tower. So if he buffs a tier 1 tower or 2 tower, he will gain a bunch of extra mana back so you can cast it again and hopefully get one of your good towers with it. Obsidian Statue, very good for early mazing. Also has a very powerful stun with mana. And if it kills the target, it gives extra mana to everyone nearby. So very useful to have some of these. Shadow Dancer, also very useful. Costs mana, deals extra damage in a medium radius. Slowing creeps and giving bonus damage to allied towers. So this is a percentage-based damage. So high damage towers like this guy, you really want to have that. One of these around so that you can he'll cast it and he'll get 10% damage. When you have over 1,000 damage, 10% damage is quite a lot. Mana Gorger. This guy you want to give lots of mana. You want him near blue towers to give him as much mana as you can because he will get negative mana pretty quickly with Feast. Feast will give him Splash and will increase his damage. But reduces mana regen, and he gets mana each time he attacks. So you'll eventually get him so that he'll have just a baseline -2 or 3 mana, and you just won't be able to do anything else, or get any more mana levels. So that's why it's useful for him to have mana runes. And the wonderful, wonderful Dreadlord, or Vampire, or Nathrezine, whatever you want to call him. People call him all kinds of things. He has a ranged attack when the enemy is not that close. and a melee attack, which when he uses his melee attack, he can recover some life. He'll recover 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 1 with his melee attack, so you can't just sustain yourself infinitely with Nathrezim. Spoiler alert, you still kind of can if you have enough mana towers in other areas. The Fell Hunter will attack relatively quickly, and he's melee. He will pull mana out from adjacent towers. So you have to have mana towers next to him. Don't put a Void Queen next to him. Don't put an Archlich next to him. Have a mana tower next to him that you don't mind losing mana from. Have one of these towers. You know, have a tier 2 tower, maybe a tier 3 next to him to pull mana from. Don't put him next to a tier 5 tower. The Void Queen, which I have, like the Nathrezim, you get a one-time life cost by picking them. The Void Queen will suck up corpses. After 50 corpses, the Void Queen gains double or 1.5 damage or so. Very useful. Eating the corpses gives you life. So it becomes less useful late game as you stop being able to kill stuff, but it's still very useful. With the Voidfall, all the meteors deal damage to the creeps in an area and buff towers with increased attack speed, which, you know, like with this guy where he has a bonus chance to cast things on attack speed is very useful for him. Archlich does a lot of things that are related to cold and giving mana back to the Archlich. It's a very fun tower. I'd recommend trying it out at least once. Again, not played enough games of 2.0 to really know how to use it properly, but you do want to give him a lot of extra mana if you can. Blue tower's a must. Green, we start out, we got a Treant. He's fairly standard, he's amazing tower. Toxic Turret was an amazing tower. It used to slow super good. Now it just slows regular good. And it's useful to keep things moving a little bit slower. The Fell Hunter deals more damage to towers, to units that are slowed, so it can be very useful to have a couple Toxic Turrets. Let me just very quickly... There we go. I was worried for a second that I'd sold this guy. Alright, and it looks like I am going to lose some lives here. That's fine. I'm fine with that. I don't care. I'm going over the Spectropedia. So yes, a small, slow, very useful. This guy also attacks everyone in range, so it can be very useful early game. Wisp attacks everyone, but has significantly higher range. Costs mana to attack, so you can't just constantly attack everything. The Questing Druid, after 7 waves, will give you a, what's this? Actually, Rune of Reach? No, thank you. I will take extra gold. After 7 waves, you get a Rock Charge. As I said, the rock becomes a landmine, blows up, gives a bonus. Yellow is not a great wave for me, as you can see. Siren, Corrosive Bolt costs mana, inflicts vulnerability and slows for 7 seconds. Beastmaster, he has a whole bunch of melee things which will pop up around him. And Big Game Hunter does extra damage, but reduces in effect as creeps die. Resets each wave. The traps will slow and damage the creeps that go near them. The Hydra will deal damage over time and slow creeps. With his mana attack, he'll also hit 3 targets at once. Toxic Avatar, I've been using him. He gets Contagion, which slows and vulnerabilitizes the enemy. I'm also going to leak on this wave, by the way. You can tell I'm only at 12%, and they've already reached the first waypoint. But reaching max wave is not really my goal this time. So... Yes, anyways, then we go up to Stormbinder. She hits 6 targets at once at 750 range. Pretty nice. Casts a Tornado when she has mana, which slows targets down. And every attack has a chance to cast Chain Lightning. And that can hit... So technically you get 6 Chain Lightnings at the same time, if you're lucky. Soulkeeper, he gets this spinny scythe thing that goes after people. Hand of Death damages everything. And Trap. Yeah, you get some good stuff with the Soul Keeper. Orange, we've got the basic bitch archer. We've got the Gatling turret, which deals very fast damage, so it's very useful even late game to have a Rune of Blasting on this guy. You get a Rune of Blasting on this guy. You get a Oceanic on this guy. He'll attack extremely quickly. The more damage you put on him, the more damage he will pump out very fast. And you can actually have a bunch of these next to the Aetherflux Spire to have an extra 80 damage for each one of these 0.2 second attacks, so you can get a lot of damage very quickly. Serpentwort has a chance for bonus damage and slow. Greater chance against matching targets, which would be yellow, red, and orange. Incinerator, as I said, it does a laser sweep, like sideways kind of thing. 90 attacks and gives vulnerability. If you get extra damage on him, the vulnerability does more. The Shredder, he will fire a missile at a faraway creep every second or two. And every time he does a melee attack, he'll fire another missile at a faraway creep. And he'll also inflict vulnerabilities. Very useful to have one or two of these. Boom Squad. This guy used to be 2x2. Now he's 4x4, and he will, if he can attack, he will instead place a mine nearby until he has full mines, and then he won't. He'll just attack. Flameborn. Now this guy, if you get a Rune of Hyperspeed on him, it goes wicked fast. At least it used to. I don't know if it does in this. Fireball orbits the tower, dealing damage to creeps hit. So it'll go around based on his attack range. On attack, chance to trigger an explosion, dealing damage and inflicting vulnerability. The Phoenix, I have this one. I already mentioned what it does. Gain range and maximum attack speed for 20 seconds, and then fire around the waypoints. Fusion Cannon, very nice. It has a minimum range, 3,000 maximum range. Deals a very large. It's a very large tower, so you can fit a lot of. If you have a attuned rune, which is bonus damage for each rock around it, you can get like triple damage or something on this thing. You can get it to be doing over well over 1,000 well over 3,000 damage each shot. It doesn't track. It does damage in a big explosion. And I really should have spent my money. Dread Mage. Tier 6 will have to be a separate video because I don't really know enough. I haven't gotten all of the tier 6s, but he's very good. Whatever tier 6 you get, use it for sure. Basic Bitch Tower. Laser Turret. The longer it attacks, the more mana it gets. The more mana it gets, the more damage it does. Light Tower has a chance to attack all nearby enemies and inflict vulnerability, 5% I think. So very useful to have early game. Rune Weaver, and even have some of these scattered around for late game if you don't have any other sources of vulnerability. You really want that extra damage. Rune Weaver will copy the rune of any tower he's next to. You can only copy a rune once, and you can't copy his rune. Spectrumist has a chance to do damage over time, extra damage, damage in an area, slow, vulnerability, or chain hit. You can't actually get all those at once. Stone Giant does a bouncing attack. If you kill a unit with him, he gains an extra attack speed and range, and 2 rock charges. That's a one-timer. Consecrate from the Avenger will give you life from a creep corpse. And every time you lose life, you gain base attack damage with him, and when you on attack, you lose some of the bonus damage. Rhapsody deals or starts out with a rune. You get 25% gold back if she was built on a rune, and she has a chance to deal extra damage and increase her base damage for a short time. Has Encore, which rapidly attacks random nearby creeps. And yeah, cost mana. Radiant Soul. Oh boy, this guy. You can put some blasting damage on him because his attacks bounce twice, and he will attack 3 times, and his attacks will deal splash. So the more damage you have on a Radiant Soul, the more damage is being distributed to everything. The downside to the Radiant Soul is that on Black Waves or King Waves, you know, like right now it's King Wave, so there's only one mob, you're going to do very little damage. Seraph, you want to surround the Seraph with as many things as possible. Doesn't matter what they are, as long as they're towers, just surround with as many towers as possible. You'll get extra attack damage, attack speed, and give extra attack speed and attack damage to the other towers as well. Well, it's very, very good. Oh, and I neglected to take... Now, I'm actually going to take Grindstone here, which is usually not the most... I mean, it can be useful, but see, I've got all of these towers that have multiple attacks, and I'm actually going to give that to that. I know I should have saved it for that, but you know what? I'm going to go build this here. Because I've got a linked Rune of Range here, so this will give it enough range to reach out into this area and all the way down here and everything, so very useful. I don't know if I'm going to have enough damage to survive this round. We'll see. Yeah, so that's Spectrum TD in a nutshell. I'm ending up with 18 rock charges here. I probably didn't cover some things because I'm really not that great at YouTubing yet. I don't think. So I think... but hopefully, if anybody has watched this and watches this far, that it helps them out to enjoy this wonderful, wonderful game. And if you do, then hop on the Discord and let everyone know that Lord Damage and Arxos made a really cool map. And they both have really cool accents when you're talking to them over Discord, so always worth listening to an accent. Ooh, wait, did I? I meant to move that one over here. Oops. Oh well. I'll just give this one Ravenous Damage, and this one can have that. I will give this one the Attuned Rune of Blasting. There we go. Now this guy will deal a lot more damage. And the best part is, even if this guy kills me here, I do have the Band of the Seraphim. Anyways, I think I'm going to let this game play out however it's going to play out, and I'm going to stop the video here and leave you wondering what wave I make it to. Do I make it to 30? Do I make it to 29 and then die because it's black creeps? Who knows? Well, I know, but you didn't. Or don't.